it is a sad, sad deal. When we go meet these families, puddles caused by tears are common, and there's a lot of them. And the truth of the matter is, when I get done with the hug goodbye and thanks for letting me be here, and I get on the motorcycle, the first thing I have to do before I let the clutch out is usually wipe away a tear. But we get to leave all that in the wind, and there's a therapy to it.
Want to ride longer? Tired of a sore and achy ass lurch?
Yeah.
Then fix it with a high-quality butt buffer seat cushion. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. Check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions. Voicemail coming up just a moment. Hey, Bikeaholics, Zero 3D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson and a brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwing. Named Gold Strike. Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. Check out our full line of Zero 3D products. Let's listen to this voicemail, Lurch.
Hey, guys. Great video. I was just watching something about some cup holders, and I saw the one that had the little basket, but then the other one where the cup came with it and fit in, I cannot find that on your website. So if someone can call me, maybe, that'd be awesome. 92.
All right. So his question, that was from Dan Gross. I don't see where he's from. Sometimes I put that, but Dan Gross, thank you for leaving the voicemail. lawabidingbiker.com/contact. You can leave a voicemail from your computer or phone. Just uses your microphone, any built-in microphone from anywhere in the world for free. And we love the questions. We love playing them on the podcast. Here in 2021, please, we've got the platform, even if it's just a funny joke, or if you want to bust our chops, or you want to ask a question. Just, we love the verbal feedback. Lurch, being the audio editor, we love to get that stuff into shows. The answer to the question is that got discontinued.
It did.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm right on that.
You are.
So the drink holders we have now, and I'm not sure exactly what was behind that, but the current
well,
drink
it required to use that cup or one exactly the same size, and these universal ones that you can put as the basket, as he referred to it. It's got a rubber basket underneath that holds your drink holder secure, and you can use a multitude of different containers. So I think it was just more popular, and by that, the other one probably just got discontinued.
Yep, probably they saw sales.
Yeah.
Everybody was migrating to the universals. So anyways, sorry about that. If you wanted one of those, that we don't have them in our store anymore, and Zero did discontinue those. Again, thanks for the voicemail. We really appreciate you taking the time. Oh, yeah, once you've had Rick Rack, you'll never go back. The ultimate motorcycle luggage rack solution. Forget those messy straps and bungee cords. You guys got to go strapless with a Rick Rack quick attach luggage system and quality bag. Go strapless like I did, guys, 3-4 years ago. I love that thing, and I've got thousands and thousands of miles on that thing, along with some of the other guys. I absolutely couldn't imagine going on a trip without the ease of clicking that thing on and off, and how secure it is to my bike, and giving me all of that awesome storage. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and get hooked up now. Now, we love our sponsors up front. These are also sponsors, direct sponsors, and the reason you're getting this podcast and the YouTube videos. We want to thank the following new patron members.
Joni Yeats of Charles City, Virginia. Bob Smith of Mount Vernon, Washington. He's just in our backyard, and he's also top tier. And Eddie Rabone of Geneva, Indiana. Top tier.
Very nice. Thank you so much, guys. Patrick Feeney of Overland Park, Kansas. Dan Vanderpool of Madera, California, top tier. Steve Wilcox of Boulder, Colorado.
Brandon Jones of Burnsville, Minnesota, top tier. Jason Glover of Nashville, North Carolina. And Brett Wiersma of Auburn, Alabama.
Finishing
also top tier.
it up, Doug Erlinson of Santa Rosa, California. Chad Buchler of Ogden, Utah. And Carl Schatke of San Jose, California. lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon. Patreon is the way you sign up. You pledge a certain amount per piece of content, no risk to you, because you can put a monthly cap. There are so many benefits, such as t-shirts and stickers, access to the private Facebook group, Twirl Free Zone, access to live video broadcasts and chat, podcasts early, up to access to those premium videos upon request, and of course, access to those ride, meetup, and events like we're going to do in the old California IA this year and coming up at the time of recording this very soon, where we're going to meet up with you awesome patrons, do the ride, do the catered event. It's going to be spectacular like it always is. Of course, we'll be doing a full featured documentary film like we always do. If you haven't seen the newest Sturgis documentary film, make sure you head over lawabidingbiker.com/ride-now is where you get all our documentary films. I got it very reasonably priced, and that video is blowing up. The trailer's on our YouTube channel, but if you want to support us and you want a great documentary, grab yourself a drink, sit down, kick your feet up, and ride along with us and experience what we experienced during our travels to and from and during Sturgis. Newest free video that we threw out on the YouTube. It's not the newest. It's a new free video. We're just now getting to it. And you want to talk about that, Lurch?
It is the new Harley Boom Box GTS conversion, how to retrofit and upgrade your video. So we took a bike with the older GT in it and put a GTS in it. We show you how to do it.
Very nice. And that video is done very well. Something you're considering. And speaking of that point, I know I haven't done it yet. And
are you thinking about it?
Well,
you've had it in your inbox on Harley's site for 2 years.
And now 404 page can't be found.
Oh,
you know why? Everybody's out of stock of them.
Oh,
they're
really?
completely. Harley's out of stock. All the dealerships are out of stock. They've been out of stock with the supply chain. We've seen that with a lot of motorcycle products.
Damn
completely out. So you can't even get it. But at some point they will come back in stock. I was actually considering it, and it
was a sign
before the trip.
It was a sign.
It was a sign.
Yeah,
it was a sign.
Right?
Exactly.
You went to do it. You were going to hit the button, and it wasn't there.
Exactly. I'm figuring I'm going to have that bike for a while longer. And we talked about you. You'll have the other one for research, R&D stuff when we need to answer questions, and we'll have a new one. But anyways, I don't want to go in the weeds on that.
Okay.
Too far, too much. We got a great interview planned for you guys right here in this episode. Now, this is a follow-up episode we did back in September 16th, 2019 with guest Anthony Price of the Gold Star Ride Foundation. And that was episode 217, if I didn't mention it. I mentioned the date there. So lawabidingbiker.com/217. Or your podcast app, you can get over there. It was a great interview, and I learned a lot. It was new to me at that time. Now I'm fairly familiar with it, but we wanted to do a follow-up with Anthony. So we'll get him on the line here and talk to him and see what's been going on and how many families that they've been helping. So again, he's with the Gold Star Ride Foundation. It's goldstarride.org. In 2016, that was founded, began with a simple idea, remembering the families of the fallen. Of course, that's people that have loved ones that are veterans and lose a loved one. Their mission, very plainly, the Gold Star Ride Foundation will actively support, comfort, and provide education benefits to Gold Star families throughout the United States, and will provide these things directly with personal visits via motorcycle, and we will support those other organizations that work to assist in these same activities. So they've got a lot going on over there. Of course, I always say we heavily support our veterans, our military here at Law Abiding Biker Media. But Anthony and the organization do it in their own way. So let's just dive in. Let's dive in and see what Anthony Price has got going on for us.
Are we recording? Are we live?
Yeah, we're live, Anthony. Hey. Well, we're not live to an audience, but we're live. So just catch up episode. We are, and I think the last time we talked was September 16th, 2019, in episode 217, Gold Star Ride Foundation. So it's been a minute since we talked. So just catch up time.
It's been a minute. Yeah. 6 months after we talked last time, the commander-in-chief said that we have a national emergency because of the COVID virus. So, the whole world has happened since I spoke with you last.
Mm-hmm. It really has. You still over there in Minnesota?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, Minnesota is still the home base.
Okay.
So Minnesota's the home base, but I've now been on my motorcycle to every state in the lower 48 at least once, California once, Nevada once, every other state at least twice, many of them 3 or 4 times. I've been to DC 4 times now. I've been to Florida 5 times. I've been along Pensacola, the Gulf of Mexico 4 or 5 times, Texas 4 or 5 times. all the states in the Midwest 2 or 3 times. So a lot has happened since September 2019.
Yeah. So how are things over there? Before we dive into that, how are things with, are they opening up over there in Minnesota pretty good? Are you back to normal or what?
Well, yeah, now, what was it, June 1st? They've decided that the CDC says we don't need a mask anymore. So everything's pretty much opened up now.
Well, I'm just telling you, Lurch is a little nervous sitting over here because you're not wearing a mask on this video call.
Whatever.
Look at him. I had to have him.
I can't do a whole lot for Lurch. I'm sorry.
Nobody can.
I'm sorry.
I had to have him take his mask off because he looked like a dork for this episode. But anyways, yeah, let's catch up with some of your time. Obviously, your base in Minnesota there. Let's catch up on motorcycle. You still, what do you ride now?
I have a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I do have a motorcycle. As a matter of fact, I just made some repairs to my motorcycle today. Broke one of the rails that holds my saddlebags on. So I got to replace that today. I don't remember exactly where I was in September 2019.
Me neither.
But I can tell you that I did the big ride, the one that everybody likes to talk about, the one that got the book. Remember last time I was on, we talked about the book?
Yeah.
The ride that got the book was 44 states, 56 days of solid riding, averaging 318 miles a day. That's the kind of thing that bikers like to hear about, right? So he sat on that motorcycle for 300 miles a day for 56 days in a row. It was a little bit surreal when I got off. But since then, I've accumulated in less than 3 years. July 2nd will be 3 years. And since then, I've accumulated 80,000 miles. I've completed 19 rides. As I said a minute ago, California and Nevada are the only states I've only been to once. Aside from that, all 48 of the lower states I've been to several times. I visited with 64 Gold Star families on that first ride in the 56 days in July and August of 2018. That number is now hovering somewhere between 350 and 400. So we're getting a lot of work done. We just get on the bike and go. Whenever it's time to go, we just go. I got home 8 days ago. So I had to look over here at that blank screen to figure out how many miles I've been ridden. I did a 12-day ride 8 days ago. I got home, 3,300 miles. Got to see 26 more families. And again, this is a program about riding motorcycles, law-abiding biker, right? Mm-hmm. But when I'm out on the motorcycle, I'm out performing a mission. And that mission is to honor and support the Gold Star families that we meet. And the Gold Star families are immediate family members of somebody killed in the military. So that's kind of the housekeeping. We got to get that out of the way first.
Mm-hmm. And remind everybody, though, Anthony, because it's something that gets breezed over a little bit, even for me, we were discussing it pre-show, is that it's not just killed in the line of duty. A Gold Star family is anybody who loses somebody that has served in the military, right?
Our organization doesn't have anything to do with the federal government, so we don't get any grants or funding or anything like that. So we get to play a little bit fast and loose with the rules, and the DOD, the Department of Defense, they say that in order to be officially a Gold Star, you have to be killed in action. The hero has to be killed in action. Other forms of end of life include suicide, training accidents, friendly fire, stuff like that. The Department of Defense refers to those families as next of kin. And there's an official DOD certification that says that you're next of kin. I don't know why they do that, but they do. Our organization does not have to follow those rules. So our organization has 2 criteria. And if you meet both criteria, you're a Gold Star. Was there somebody in the immediate family who served in the military? And was there a funeral for that person who served in the military? If those 2 criteria are met, you're a Gold Star in our book and you qualify for any of the benefits that we have to offer. And we kind of go from there.
And that's simply, obviously, you're able to have that flexibility because you're a 501c3 nonprofit instead of taking grants and things from the government, right?
Right. And because we're a private corporation, quote unquote, as well, because that's the way our operations are set up. We have a board of directors and everybody is just we just don't have anything to do with the federal government aside from we qualify for the IRS rules 501c3 designation.
Okay. So let's remind the audience too, because it's been a while and it'll help remind Lurch and I too. Now I know when we talked last time, you, like you said, you went on the big 56-day ride, the big deal. And from what I remember is you decided that you weren't going to do that extensive for family reasons, and it's hard on you, right?
It was just a little too hard on the family. I mean, my standing joke now, whenever I'm talking about the book, the standing joke is, I rode for 56 days, and then I came home and spent 30 days trying to get the wife to let me back in the house. And then after she let me back in the house, then I sat down and wrote the book. And there's a great deal of truth to that. So we've decided that, and I just made sure that it was cleared with the board of directors as well, that the big rides like that, the 2-month-long rides, don't happen anymore. Instead, we do rides that are a little bit more manageable. For example, the ride that I just finished, I was on the road for 12 days, and it included, right in the middle of those 12 days, it included participating in the demonstration against our national government for the MIA POWs. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I see it in the background there. It's a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, that's a demonstration against the national government, or directed toward the national government, to remember that we still have somewhere in the neighborhood of 82,000 MIA POWs who still need to be returned home from the last 100 years worth of wars that we've been in. We just don't want the federal government to forget. We don't want anybody to forget. And that's why we participated in that particular motorcycle ride. For the record, just in case you're curious about it, I did my first MIA POW demonstration ride on Memorial Day weekend in 2019. That coincidentally was also the last year that it was called Rolling Thunder. Motorcycles from all over the country came. In 2019, my own personal estimation was that there was somewhere between 900,000 and 1.1 million motorcycles involved in that demonstration. To paint a little bit of a picture of what that might look like for you, the motorcycles rode 4 abreast, covered the whole road. And all the traffic was blocked off for this parade of motorcycles. And the motorcycles are 4 abreast. The first motorcycles rolled past at noon. The last motorcycles rolled past at 6:30 p.m. And they went nonstop. And they were back tire to front tire all the way through. So that's what happened in 2019. This one that we just finished had a significant number of motorcycles, although the numbers were down considerably. I think there was about 25,000 motorcycles there.
What's this one called?
They call it Rolling to Remember, I want to say. Rolling to Remember. Okay. And it's always on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend in our nation's capital. There are some other things that happened too, and this probably scared a few of the riders away. For example, the commander-in-chief said that this particular protest was no longer allowed to use the Pentagon parking lot for staging, which they have been doing since 1987. So, the commander-in-chief said, we'll blame COVID. Because of COVID, you can't use that parking lot. I don't know what it was. They didn't call me. A lot of this stuff I get to make up as we go. But fortunately, Joe is somebody I know at the AMVETS at the national level, and he shared with me that they managed to get a little bit of a break from the NFL. We were able to do the staging at RFK Stadium in Washington, so it all worked out. We got all the bikes there, and we had a hell of a parade.
That's awesome. Is that raises money, correct? That event, or is that just for show?
Entirely. No, there's no cost to the riders for that.
Okay.
There's a lot of people making money on it. All the hotels are making money.
Yeah, right.
All the restaurants are making money. The bars are making money. A couple of the food vendors probably made $1 or $2. But as a rule, I don't think that is designed to be a fundraiser at any level. I think that's designed to be a protest to tell the federal government that there's still 82,000 MIA POWs out there that we need to be held accountable to get them back home.
Yeah, no, it's a great cause. And I remember seeing some of the Rolling Thunder, stuff in the past, and like you said, the numbers were staggering. What an awesome show. And I know we talked about it a little bit, because that organization basically they're not doing it, and this is the new name, right? Without getting in the weeds too much, I remember some sort of organizational problem or something with Rolling Thunder.
Well, what happened is the guys who started Rolling Thunder, my understanding is that there are 3 of them, and I may be speaking out of school, but this is the way I understand it. I think there was 3 guys who started it back in 1987. They wanted their friends who were still missing in Vietnam to be brought back home, so they started it back then, and it was just a protest, and they call it that. It's a protest. It's not a parade. It's a protest, and it's designed to attract attention to the federal government to go get the MIAs and POWs that are the 82,000 that are still gone. Okay, so fast forward to last year, 2020, and I was there for 2020 also, and that's when I got to meet the executive director of the AMVETS. So AMVETS is a veterans fraternity similar to American Legions or VFWs. So the AMVETS seems to be the one that fewer people know about. American Legion, everybody knows about. VFW, everybody knows about. But AMVETS is right in there in the same vein as a veterans fraternity organization. And they took over when the original founding members said, I've had enough. I'm 90 years old now. I can't do this anymore. So they retired. I believe one of them actually passed away, and the other 2 decided to retire. So they handed the reins over to the AMVETS. And in the process of handing the reins over to the AMVETS, they said, you got to come up with your own name. So this is the way I understand it. And I'm certainly not an official spokesperson for either Rolling Thunder or AMVETS or the Rolling to Remember. I'm not, but I do help them and participate as much as I can.
Okay, well, good. That's a good reminder of those causes over there on the East Coast going on. So what else has been going on with now you're doing, what's your longest rides now that you're doing when you're going out? So you basically, just to bring it back to the Gold Star Foundation a little bit, you're getting calls and clean any of this up. You know, you're getting calls from people that need assistance that have lost that loved one that was a vet. And I know we talked last time, you have some stories about, you know, sometimes suicides and things like that. What's your month, so to speak, or year look like? Do you have stuff planned out, or you just bam, snap of the finger and you're out the door? What? Explain to people what's going on there.
Well, the rule of thumb is the phone will ring, or we'll get an email and somebody will say, this is the town I live in. When can you come? So we go up to our national map and we stick a pin in that particular town and we say, okay, how can we get there? Where is it from here? And then things kind of flow from there. For example, we're going to go see a Gold Star dad in 2 Saturdays. Saturday, the 26th of June, we're going to ride in and see this Gold Star dad. And we've been negotiating with him exactly how we can get to see him for 3 years. And we're finally able to say, okay, we're close enough. We're going to go and we're going to get that one done. He became a Gold Star when he lost his son on a training mission that was designed to, this will be a fun little conversation for us. You remember how the first George Bush had the first Iraq War? And everybody said, how come he quit before he got rid of Saddam? Mm-hmm. Does it ring a bell?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Gold Star that we're going to see, his son was part of the Airborne Rangers on the mission to go remove Saddam from Iraq. And during there was an accident in the training part of it. And a huge number of Special Forces guys died in a helicopter crash in the area of Salt Lake City, Utah. And this would have been 1992. So back then, so the first Bush was planning to get rid of Saddam. And the plan was in rehearsals when they crashed and everybody that was going to be a part of it was killed. That one of those guys that was killed is the Gold Star dad we're going to go see on June 26th. But he explained to me that the reason that Saddam was left in power was because the mission to go remove him from power lost all its guys. They had to start over from ground zero or from number one. And in 1992, if you recall, the first George Bush was voted out of office. So there was nothing left that he could do. So a lot of people just say, well, why didn't we go get him the first time? Well, this is the reason why. There was a plan in place. It came a little short of its goal. but there was a plan in place. So we get to go see him on the 26th. We're very much looking forward to that. But we've been talking with him since 2018, trying to figure out exactly when we're going to get there.
And when you go up there, what's typical? What are you going to do when you get up there? I mean, I know you don't know exactly, but for the audience, explain some of the things that will transpire or have transpired.
You know, that's I love that question and I hate that question. Because we don't subscribe to a lot of pomp and circumstance. You know, when we get out and ride in the morning, when I'm going to go see a family, the first song I play on the motorcycle is Madison Rising's version of the Star Spangled Banner. If you're not familiar with it, you know, that's worth spending 3.5 minutes on YouTube to listen to their version of the Star Spangled Banner. It's really remarkable. So I start my day with that. But aside from that, there's all of the pomp and circumstance that goes along with military presentations is gone. We're very casual. We have no script. We don't know what's going to happen. And that is how we've always wanted it to be. And I remember the first rides that I went on, I would just go in there and I'd be like shaking like this going, I don't know what's going to happen. Pretty scared. Don't know what's going to happen. And then I'd walk away going, wow, that was pretty powerful. And I think when I was on in 2019, I shared the story with you about the Gold Star mother that I went to visit. And now there's been so many of them, I have to give you more details. But we went to visit this Gold Star mom who during the lunch turned to me and said, I don't understand why my son would take his own life. And incidentally, little side note here. I got to go like this so you can see when I'm doing hand gestures, you got to be able to see, right? Anyway, the side note there is that about 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 4 of the families that we go visit because of the suicide, of a suicide, veteran suicide. Having said that, we're meeting with this Gold Star mom. She says, I don't understand why my son would take his own life. I say, he didn't take his own life. That was a sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away. She burst into tears, and I was crying, and everybody that was there was crying. I think the restaurant manager came over and was wiping his eyes too. And then, you know, we parted company. We remained friends. I just talked to that Gold Star mom just a few days ago. But you know, I went down the road and I visited some more families and stayed at another hotel, logged a few more miles, 2,000 miles later, 3,000 miles later, whatever it was. 5 days, 6 days, whatever it was, I log into the cheap ass motel that I like to stay in, and I open my email, and I get an email from the best friend of the woman that we're talking about, because we never reach out to the Gold Stars. They have to reach out to us. In this case, the Gold Star mom didn't know about us. Her best friend did. So the best friend sends us an email 6 days later, and she says, your visit here was the greatest thing that could have ever happened, because later that day, she went home and tore up her own suicide note. So these are the kind of things that I couldn't plan for that. I mean, it's not on the questionnaire that we asked. When, you know, we asked them a few things so we can get some background information on the Gold Star, on the fallen hero. And we try to get a little bit of information about them. But one of the questions is not, are you planning to commit suicide yourself? Okay, we kind of draw on the line with what we're asking. So we play it by ear. We never know what we're going to find. And every time we get to learn new things. We try to laugh. I try not to leave the Gold Star family unless we've laughed at least twice. And you know, there's always some tears there. And I have a plaque that we created that we leave for all our Gold Stars, and I make sure I read that out loud before I go. But we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if there's. I've gone to see Gold Stars where they fired up the barbecue and they wouldn't let me leave until after I had a baked potato and steak off the grill. I've gone to see Gold Star families where I had to ask for a glass of ice water so I could quench my thirst before I left. I've gone to see Gold Star families where they said, okay, I've had enough after 30 minutes. And I've gone to see Gold Star families where I'm sitting there for 5 hours without even realizing that I'm not on the motorcycle. And we do all sorts of things. You asked about the length of the ride, and being this is a motorcycle riding show, probably interested in it. Actually, I think I still have a little bit of line here, don't I? I haven't ridden now for 2 days. A couple Fridays ago, I went from, where the heck was I? Dewshore, Pennsylvania, little town of about 200 people in the middle of the Allegheny Mountains, to Monroe, Michigan, to see one family. And we met and we went to see the gravesite, and she told me all about the fallen hero. We had a short conversation. I think it lasted 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then we parted company because they came to us and they said, we're locking up the cemetery now. You guys got to get out. So that was a little awkward, but, we parted company at that. And so that was a 13-mile motorcycle ride at 80 miles an hour on the freeway for a 45-minute visit. That's,
yeah.
And I only had one car try to run me off the road on that trip.
That's actually amazing. One car.
Yeah. And
it's a record.
Sure you guys talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I tell people all the time when it comes to talking about riding a motorcycle. If you don't get on, my personal belief is that I become invisible whenever I swing my leg over the seat. And I just ride like I'm invisible. I just assume that the guy in that car over there can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
I just assume they don't know I'm there. I just assume they can't hear me, even though, the bike has got some volume to it. And I generally, particularly on the freeway, I got the stereo louder than the pipes. So you'd think that they would hear me, but they don't always. And I just assume they're not good enough. But yeah, so I had somebody try to run me off the road on that trip on that Friday. Had somebody try to run me off the road. Here's an interesting thing. You guys are out on the West Coast, right? Your studios are on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm in the Midwest. In my little studio here, I'm in the Midwest. But things are different on the East Coast. So I rode from Washington, D.C. to Long Island on Memorial Day. That's Interstate 95. There's only two speeds on Interstate 95. Only two. 80 and 0.
Mm-hmm.
And you better be paying attention because, real quick, it'll drop from 80 to 0. And if you're not paying attention, that'll make your long ride become a short ride.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Now, when you say you use the word we a lot, we go, and who's we that's going with you on these rides?
That's another good question that I both love and hate, because it's open to anybody who comes along. So when I rolled into Washington, D.C., the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, when I rolled into Washington, I think we had 52 two-wheelers, 3 three-wheelers, and 2 cages when we pulled in. And when I left Washington, D.C., they had all gone a different direction. They were going back west to get back home, and I was going north to visit with the families on Long Island, and then we went from there to meet the Rhode Island Nine. And I know you can't wait for me to tell you what the Rhode Island Nine is. The Rhode Island Nine are 9 Gold Star families in Providence, Rhode Island, who all earned their Gold Stars the day that the Marine barracks was blown up in Beirut in 1983. I'm assuming that you remember that bombing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just in my head. I was thinking, wow, that's a pretty large concentration to have 9 families in one area.
They actually had 10 Marines. The state of Rhode Island had 10 Marines in that barracks that day. One of them survived the bombing and came home, and I got to meet those families in Providence on the river downtown, where they had built a memorial to the 9 who lost their lives. And the one who survived it was the key pusher to the state government saying, we need to have this monument. And they just unveiled it last September. So what is that?
Wow. Took quite a bit of time.
38 years it took him. Yeah. The thing about that Marine barracks bombing, October 23rd, 1983, the thing about it that hits close to home for me is because I was 20 years old for that. That was my war. I didn't join the Navy for 3 years after that, so I was an old man by the time I got in the Navy. And everybody who was in boot camp with me will tell you, they called me Grandpa. I had my 25th birthday in boot camp, and that was called Grandpa.
That's pretty old for going in the military.
It is pretty old for being in there,
Yeah.
But the Beirut bombing, that was the one that was close to home for me. And now I'm pretty sure everybody's got their own thing that they refer to as their war. We talked to the old guys and their Vietnam guys. And then, for me, it was the Beirut bombing. It was Grenada. And I was still on active duty for Desert Storm, 1991 Desert Storm.
I would say that's the one that more resonates with Ryan and I, just based on our age. We were both getting either in high school or just getting out of high school around then.
Yeah, so that was, when I was wearing my uniform, and that's what I was doing for a paycheck, and I go in and my commanding officer say, well, this is what we're doing in Saudi Arabia today. We're building up Desert Shield was the first part. And those were I served with all those guys to build up Desert Shield. And then Desert Storm came after that, of course. And then it was 10 years later that we had the second Gulf War. But anyway, we ride motorcycles a lot. And I use the word we because I don't want to make anybody think that they're not welcome. I don't want to say I'm doing it, and then you got to ask me for permission. You don't have to ask me for permission. You just have to find me on the road. And if you can find me on the road, there you go. Come on along with me. And matter of fact, speaking of that, I stopped for gas outside of Washington, D.C. I think I made it to Baltimore, and there was another bike there. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go ride for these Gold Star families. I got to get up to Long Island. I said, you want to tag along? He said, sure. And so there was two of us that went all the way to Long Island. We got to Long Island, and then he went his way and I went my way. But that sort of thing happens all the time. I left Minneapolis the Tuesday before Memorial Day. And when I left Minneapolis, I was alone. I rode about 600 miles, stopped in a place called Michigan City, Indiana, which is like an eastern suburb of Chicago, I suppose. Just a little bit. You got Chicago, then Gary, Indiana, and then Michigan City, Indiana. So I stopped there for the night. And when I left Michigan City on Wednesday morning, I think there was 30 bikes. And we went from there to a place called Brookville, Ohio. And when we left Brookville, there was about 40. And then we went to a town in West Virginia and spent the night there. And when we left West Virginia, there was 52 two-wheelers and 3 trikes and 2 cages. And we all rolled into D.C. together.
So it brings up my question real quick is you say anybody's welcome. They just got to find us. Mm-hmm. And how do they find you? Ride longer and treat your ass with some respect already. Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital-grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials, and it's unlike those gel pads that will leak if punctured. The butt buffer is designed not to slide around in your seat, fits all motorcycles, installs in seconds, easily cleans, and helps to dampen vibrations. With plenty of models to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass when riding. Head over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our lineup of butt buffer seat cushions. Are you searching for the easiest and quickest detachable luggage system for your motorcycle? Rick Rack has just what you're looking for. Forget those frustrating straps and bungee cords that can come loose and slap your paint. Check out one of Rick Rack's awesome quick attach strapless luggage rack systems. This father-son team designed something really special. You can't find it anywhere else. Yep, and these guys ride, so they truly understand the needs of bikers. The Rick Rack quick attach system is strong, durable, and secure with a lockable system. Also, check out their full line of quality touring bags to accompany your quick detach system. Once you use Rick Rack, you'll never go back. What are you waiting for, Bikeaholics? Head over lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Rick Rack luggage systems. Hey, Bikeaholics! Searching for new and exciting motorcycle products? Zero3D has just what you're looking for. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley-Davidson and Honda Goldwing motorcycles. Zero3D's got your back with chrome and black parts, lighting, and other comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for an easy installation. That equals less time installing and more time riding. Zero3D has a design team with over 40 years experience with a passion for design and innovation. CAN bus made simple. with a plug-and-play lighting system. They pride themselves on great customer service. Got a question? Email them. sales@Ciro3D.com. Give them a call, 715-808-0027. Check out your local Harley or Honda dealership and ask for Ciro or Gold Strike parts. A new leader has emerged. Check out Ciro3D's custom line of Gold Strike products for Honda Goldwings. Help support us. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of Ciro3D products.
We post everything on our website.
Okay.
Our ride on June 26th, we've been promoting that all over the place. That's one of the reasons I'm glad that we're talking today. I get to tell you we're going to do this ride on June 26th. Last year we did our first laugh ride. We call it a laugh ride, LAF. LAF stands for Long Ass Fundraiser. So last year, 14 of us, including 2 Gold Stars, a Gold Star dad and a Gold Star widow, we all earned our official Iron Butt Saddle Sore 1000 patches. We rode 1,014 miles in 21 hours. This year, I talked to the organizer. We've got a volunteer who likes to organize these routes and make sure we know where to stop for gas and stuff like that. So this year, for our Long Ass Fundraiser, we're only going to do 533 miles. But we are going to get it done in a day, and it should be done in about 13 hours. And we're included in that is going to be a lunch served by an American Legion about 100 miles from the Canadian line and 2 visits with Gold Star families along the way. So it's good that we get to talk about those things. And that's not going to be me. That's going to be a we. So far, I think we have 14 signed up for that, and we're anticipating having a full 25 for that. 25 is all they get to go on that because we can't do 533 miles in 13 hours with more than 25 stopping for gas.
Yeah.
It just, the guy who, and he's a veteran himself, and he's just a mad, crazy guy. As a matter of fact, you guys should bring him on your show so he can talk about his accomplishments. He's a veteran who volunteers his time to our organization to help us plan our laugh ride every year. But let me see if I can get some of it. In the last 6 years, he has earned at least a dozen saddle sores from the Iron Butt Association. He's earned at least 3 saddle sore golds, which is 1,500 miles in 24 hours. He's one of only 81 people who's ridden to 49 states in less than 10 days. And he's ridden from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, from the coast of Maine to Alaska, across Canada, in less than 5 days. And he's the only person in the world who's done that particular ride twice. And he's done all of that in the last 5 years. And that's just what I remember. He's just a riding nut. He's done it all on the same motorcycle. He's had the same motorcycle for 5 years. And you know, that might be kind of fun for you to get him on here and talk just about what it's like to put on 1,000 miles in a day over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
I put on a lot of rides, but I don't ride like that.
No, some guys just do that once. Like a couple of our guys rode back from Sturgis last year. They took off and did an Iron Butt over 1,000, and they're done. Yeah. We did it, and you know, you don't want to do it again. You just did it to do it. You know, you don't just keep doing that craziness.
Yeah, I was happy before. I was happy before I had the thing that said that I was an Iron Butt and world's strongest biker, or whatever the phrase is that they call it. I was happy without that. So now that I got the one, it's okay. We got the one. We don't need to get one every year. No, that's not necessary.
Yeah, right.
Get one every year.
So this June 26th,
it kind of takes away from the mission, and the mission being, you know, honoring and supporting the Gold Star families. But we wouldn't be a charity organization if we didn't find a way to have at least one fundraising event a year. So this is our one fundraising event a year, and it'll happen on June 26th in Minnesota.
And on that June 26th event, how are you raising money? Is it entry fees to the thing or what?
It's a couple of things being put together. First, we have the entry fee for the rider. All the riders are $50 entry fee. And because we are ending this, we're going to be done by 6:30 at night. We're having a pig roast and a concert. And then we're inviting the general public to the pig roast and the concert. So that's kind of where it all comes together. The idea being that the general public will be there buying tickets to the concert, and they'll be there to welcome all the riders as we come back. So that's how we're planning on raising that money.
Okay. And that
tickets to the concert.
Tickets to the concert, right. And so that's your one, just to make sure I heard that right, that's your one fundraiser of the year.
It's the only one that we do.
That you do.
Participate. I go to a lot of events. For example, the good people at Black Hills Harley Davidson Rapid City have pretty much demanded that we have a booth in front of their store during a Sturgis rally. This will be our third year in a row that we're there. And, we're there we got the donation box out and we're handing out brochures and business cards and telling people what we do. And so we raise money that way. We also make an appearance. I think we've been for 4 years in a row or 5 years in a row at the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue in September in the Ozarks. So we do a handful of things like that.
Looking at your website, also looks like you take donations through your website.
Oh, certainly. As a matter of fact, if you're looking at the website right now and you see the donation page, you see all the pictures that are there.
Yep.
Those pictures on the website, those are all the people who have already signed up to go on the ride. And the reason that pictures are there is they get to invite all their friends and colleagues to donate to us through their picture. And the one who gets the most donations wins that 1984 Corvette that you saw on the first page.
Right on.
Lurch, you need that. You need that car, bro.
I need as many cars and bikes as I can get my hands on.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You just got to be the rider who gets the most donations.
Very cool.
So you're looking forward to giving that car to somebody.
So you say, Anthony, I'm just following up because you do say, who is helping you within your organization? Remind me of how many people are with the Gold Star Ride Foundation, and then are these folks that are helping you standing at the door at Black Hills and going on rides, or is this just mostly your one-man show and then you have some support staff?
I wish I had some support.
Yeah, you and me both.
That would be pretty amazing if we could get some support staff. We are we're operating on such a skeleton crew that if one of your listeners goes to our website and buys a copy of the book, before I tape the label to the package to mail it out, I will autograph that book also. I mean, that's how skeleton our crew is. So when I'm not putting miles on a motorcycle, and to be honest, I'm putting a few miles on a motorcycle. I've done 80,000 miles now in less than 3 years, and I'm not done. I'm going to do 1,200 miles this weekend, and we're doing 530 miles the weekend after that. So I'm still putting a lot of miles on, and even with putting all those miles on, I'm still doing pretty much my fingerprints are on everything that we do. We have a board of directors, and we have a lot of meetings with the board of directors, and they say, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And once in a while they will say, I will do this for you. And then we'll bring it back to you when it's done. So we get a little bit of help that way. And we have a handful of volunteers. Probably the greatest volunteer that we have is my wife, who doesn't get any recognition whatsoever. She's not even, she doesn't have anything to do with our organization except that she makes sure stuff gets done. She's the one who's running to the printer and coming back saying, these 10 pages are yours, right? Yeah. I got to sign off on those. Put them in the scanner now because they got to email them back to somebody. So yeah, she's a really, really incredible human being. And if you read the book, or if you're going to read the book, she's the one that's referred to in the book as MSL, my special lady.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So that's probably our biggest. Between her and I, we're burning most of the calories to get everything done.
And just to mention the name, because we mentioned the book, yours very sincerely and respectfully, and it seems from my memory that that came out about the time that we did the 2019 podcast or thereabout.
Yeah, it was a pretty fresh release when we did that 2019. It came out in 2019, so it was a pretty fresh release then. But it's the book has been one of the tools that we use to raise money for our organization, and I've never been able to secure a spot in a bookstore. Can't get it into any of the brick and mortar stores across the country. I can't get it in any truck stops. It's a weird little mafia type organization to get a book in a retail outlet. And I hope I didn't offend too many people that I'm trying to get on the good side of by saying that. But without having done that, we've still managed to move. I think we've moved about 3,900 copies of that book. And that's when you think of what New York Times bestsellers are doing, that's nothing. But when you consider, nobody knows who I am and I wrote a book and here you go. And 3,900 is a pretty big number, having not made it to any retail outlets.
Yeah, and in that book, you're basically, to give the audience a refresher, you're basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're telling the stories of when, like the one lady that was going to commit suicide, that story where she decided not to. You're telling stories in there of your meets, right?
Right. As I mentioned before, when I got home from that really long ride, that was the genesis of that book. I spent a month making sure that my wife would let me in the door. And then I wrote about everything that I had to personally go through to get to the point where I started writing the book. So I not only discuss at length why I wanted to do this, I also discuss at length what process I had to go through, the monotony of signing this form one more time for the IRS, and the rejections I got from countless corporate sponsors because nobody wanted to support what we were doing. And I just refused to, let them tell me how I was going to move forward, taking care of Gold Star families. So I just kept on going and kept on going and kept it going. And then when I thought, when I thought we were going to do that first ride, I actually at one point thought I was only going to do it once. I didn't know I was going to be, 2.5 years later, I finished 19. I thought I was going to do one ride, and I thought people were going to get behind it. I thought corporations were going to get behind it. I thought I was going to meet with 100 families and hand out $1 million, and everybody was going to be really, I thought I was going to fix the world with that one thing. That didn't happen, but as a matter of fact, none of the plans the only plan that I had that actually came to fruition was I met the families and I went on the road. Didn't get any of the sponsorships that I was looking for. All of that stuff is in the book, as well as I think I shared this with you last time we talked as well. I think it was 6 days out of the first 14 that I was on the road, I was broke down. Those stories, the story of my first breakdown, I was only about 300 miles from home. But my first breakdown, the guy who ended up fixing the bike was an authorized Harley Davidson mechanic in 1962. And he's still working on bikes. He's got his own shop now, but he's still working on bikes. He doesn't move very fast. He's not moving around very quickly, but kind of knows what he's doing when it comes to working on the motorcycles. And he worked on my bike for a whole day. So the specifics behind the stories, like, what could I glean from this guy, and what did I learn about his hometown? He's, working in a little town. I'm pulling this completely from memory. I haven't talked about this for 3 years. Hurley, Wisconsin, Hurley, Ironwood. They're like twin cities. They're separated by a river that's so small you can literally step over it with a single step. And that's what separates these two towns. One's in Michigan and one's in Wisconsin. Anyway, they used to be really thriving communities like Deadwood, South Dakota, or Tombstone, Arizona, back in the day when mining was a big deal. Ironwood was a huge mining town. They stopped doing the mining. It became kind of a ghost town. Now there's not very many people living there. And the specifics of that get written into the book. And the characters I met on the way. When they had a good story to tell and they shared a good story with me, it got put into the book. The story of the Marine I met in Oklahoma City who liked to fight. It just makes me laugh to just think about it. This is a Marine who got a dishonorable discharge because he liked to fight. Mm-hmm. So see, that all by itself is a little bit funny. So he tells me the story. He's living in Oklahoma City and he gets a call after the Oklahoma City bombing. And of course we all remember that. at least remember bits and pieces of it. He gets a call and they say, "You used to be a Marine." He said, "Yeah." And he said, "Would you come down here and be security for us? We need security down here at the bomb site." So he goes down to the bomb site and he's acting like security. 6 months later, they say, "Hey, we got it covered now. You can go back to whatever you were doing before, whatever your life was before. You can go back to that." So he goes back to it. And then the way he tells the story, he says, "That's not even the whole point. They paid me. They gave me a check for that. I would have done it for free." I said, "Wow, that's pretty awesome." He says, "That's not even, they also changed my dishonorable discharge to an honorable because I did that." So, amazing stories like that. They got thrown into the book, as well as a lot of stories about the Gold Star families themselves, about the mother that I met in Florida who spent every other night for a couple of years being worried about the guy who caused the accident that killed her son. She was worried about the other guy. And her story's in there. The story of the guy who was on his way home from the Middle East. He had 5 days to go. He already shipped his Foot Locker back home, and he was going to go home and get married to his son's mother. And he ends up, they say, "One more mission." He says, "I don't have any gear." They say, "Borrow some. You got one more. And then, you can go home after that's done." And he ended up not coming back from that mission. The boy was 3 months old at the time. I got to meet the boy when he was 12. Those kind of stories are what we wrote into the book. I wanted the book to be written in such a fashion so that I could tell the truth, and at least my vision of what the truth was, what I had to experience to go through it, the way I understood the stories. And I wanted it to be a story that people thought was worth reading. I didn't want it to be a diary of, I went past mile marker 22, and then I went past mile marker 23. I didn't want, so I tried to write some real creative stories with that.
So let me ask you this, because I think the audience obviously will be curious, but this organization, the Gold Star Ride Foundation, the big word in there being ride, you really could do this in a car. You could do this a lot of different ways and serve the safe purpose at face value, it seems. So why did you decide that this needed to be done on a motorcycle, and maybe your inner passion for that? Can you break that down a little bit, Anthony?
That's one of those questions that I love and I don't even hate. Why do we do it on a motorcycle? Well, we do it on a motorcycle for a couple reasons. Number one on that list is motorcycles attract attention, particularly if there's more than one. I was involved in a ride last week, and there was 55 motorcycles going down the road. Well, when 55 motorcycles go down the road, people are stopping and paying attention. So whenever we can get people to pay attention to us, that's an important part of it. Another part of it is, or another reason that we do it on motorcycles is it's more difficult. It's more difficult for me to ride the 510 miles from Dew Shore, Pennsylvania to Monroe, Michigan in a day than it is for me to jump on an airplane for an hour and read a magazine and then get there. It's a lot more difficult. It's even more difficult. It is more difficult than driving in a cage. You sit in a car for 500 miles. Well, then you're sitting in a car. Will you be tired when you get where you're going? You bet you will. Will you be as tired as you would be if you're on a motorcycle? No, I'm sorry. The motorcycle takes more out of you. And that's part of the reasons why they attract attention. And that's one of the reasons why we do it. The last and maybe the most important reason that we do what we do, or I do what I do on a motorcycle, is when I go visit a Gold Star family and I get to hear them tell me about, for example, I was talking with a 93-year-old woman who said, "You're the first person in 50 years who even acknowledged that I lost my son in Vietnam." You know what? That's going to bring out a bunch of sadness. It is a sad, sad deal. When we go meet these families, puddles caused by tears are common, and there's a lot of them. And the truth of the matter is, when I get done with the hug goodbye and thanks for letting me be here, and I get on the motorcycle, the first thing I have to do before I let the clutch out is usually wipe away a tear. But we get to leave all that in the wind, and there's a therapy to it. There's a therapy to riding motorcycles that, if I can, I heard Vincent Price say this in a movie from like 1952. If you understand, no explanation is necessary. If you don't understand, no explanation is possible. And I think that really applies to riding motorcycles. And all of your audience, I'm assuming, ride motorcycles, or most of them, I would imagine. And I bet they all get it. I bet they all have an understanding of, wind therapy is a cliche. There's something to it. There's, it's a common patch to see on people's cut that it's where it says, my motorcycle is never parked in front of a therapist office. These are the kinds of things that motivate us to use motorcycles. It's a heavy load. It's a heavy load, and riding a motorcycle just makes it a little easier to carry.
Yeah, well said.
And the truth of the matter is, it's a lot easier for me. It's a 10,000 times easier for me to go visit with that family and experience their sadness and make it a little bit easier for them, and then get on my motorcycle and go away, than it is for them to have to deal with what they're dealing with. I only have to deal with it for a day, sometimes a couple of days, depending on what kind of the story is. But as a rule, I get to kind of get back to my normal operating emotions in a relatively short period of time. But I met Viola, whose son was killed 50 years ago, and she misses him just as much when I met her as she did 50 years ago when he died. And if you happen to be, if any of your listeners happen to be Gold Stars, they know what this means. They know what it's about. Carrying the pain of losing somebody for everybody else's freedom never goes away. Never goes away.
Yeah, no, it's powerful stuff, and it's a great mission. And as I do have a last question as we wind it down here. We have a large portion of our audience. Obviously, we here heavily support current, military personnel, veterans. We say that a lot, and we mean that. I guess the question is, there's a Gold Star. If there's somebody out there that has lost a loved one that served in the military and they're listening, what would be the purpose, or why would they call, and what basically can you offer? Because I'm just thinking, I'm trying to make sense of the question. If I lost a loved one that was in the military, what would make me pick up the phone and call, so our families know out there that are listening what they can expect and why they would do that and what benefit they would get from it, basically. I hope that's a hard question. It's a hard question.
Yeah, there's a couple of answers for that question. The first one is probably the most important one, which is for the moment that we come to visit, our job is to help you carry that load. We just talked about how heavy that burden was. And for the time that we're there, we're going to help you carry the load. On a more superficial level, we have an unwritten rule that we will do or attempt to do whatever the fallen hero would have done if you have a need. And to that end, some of the needs that we filled, we took a Gold Star mom to the grocery store, bought her groceries for a couple of weeks. We took a Gold Star widow. We didn't take. We had a Gold Star widow call us up and say, tornado came through here. And all of the tornadoes that were trees that were knocked down from the tornado, the county came and picked them up. But the ones that were just broken, they left. We've got 2 broken trees that are about to fall on our house. And he said, oh, okay. Well, we called up the tree company, and tree company went and cleaned them up, so their house is now safe. We've got another family that called up, and the kid is 21, just finished technical school. He got a job offer, but he needs a truck. And on the day that he gets a job offer, his truck breaks down. Okay, we'll make a couple of phone calls and we get a mechanic that's going to fix that truck and get him back on the road. Speaking of trucks, there was another instance. The son just turned 16 when I got to meet him, and I met his mother too. Well, he was only 3 when his father was killed, and his father bought a brand new truck right before he left. Well, the truck got stored at the military man stored his truck at his father's house, stuck it in. He said, just keep it till I get home. Well, he never came home. The truck's been sitting there now for 13 years. And the 16-year-old says, hey, they're giving me, I get the truck because now I I got my driver's license and I get that truck. And I say, it's been sitting in a garage for 13 years. That's not a good idea. Let me send a mechanic over there to go bumper to bumper through that thing and make sure that just sitting didn't deteriorate a brake line or, other weird stuff like that. So we took care of that. We've made house payments. We've made utility payments. In one case, as a matter of fact, we are in the process this week of writing a check to pay for the flowers at a wedding for a Gold Star daughter, because they wrote to us and they said, "Hey, we received a letter from the widow. The widow said, my daughter's getting married and her father was killed in action. Can you help us with the flowers?" So we're going to help her with the flowers. It just kind of runs the gamut. If there's a need, we're going to do everything that we can to fill that need. We haven't yet been asked to teach anybody how to drive a car. But whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I think that gives the listeners a good idea about, the multitude of different services and things like that. So, awesome. And thanks for the follow-up and a follow-up on the book, guys. You can go get that. It's available, Amazon and all those kind of places. Yours very sincerely and respectfully.
Well, it's available at Amazon, but it won't come autographed.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good reminder.
Or you can buy it from goldstarride.org.
Yeah. There you go.
Our website.
Yeah. Buy it from there. Yeah. Get the autographed copy.
It's a little faster too.
Okay.
Technology only moves so fast for Amazon. But yeah, the books have a tendency to go out a little faster when they're ordered from the website.
Okay. Good to know. Good reminder. Yeah. And thanks a lot. And I'm sure we'll catch up in the future as the organization continues to grow. And you're always welcome here, and ride safe out there, brother. Be safe.
You know what? I got a new answer for that. And by the way, I want to come back and say something about veterans when you greet them on the street. The purpose, I think, of riding a motorcycle is to not be safe. I mean, motorcycles are inherently a little bit more risky than the average mode of transportation. So when people tell me to ride safe, I like to just say no.
Yeah.
And going back to that other thing, and I think this is worth mentioning, you started talking about veterans that you meet and supporting veterans. And one of the things that I think that we're dangerously close to as a society is to say thanks for your service in such a glib way that you don't even realize what words are coming out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like saying, "What's up?" You greet somebody and you say, "What's up?" Do you really want to know what's up? Or is that just another way to say hi? And I feel that the same thing is happening with people who say thank you for your service. They're not really saying thank you for your service. It's just another way of saying hi. To that end, one of the things that I have found, first of all, for Vietnam veterans in particular, never say thank you for your service. I always say, in case you haven't heard it today, welcome home. And I guarantee you, from a Vietnam veteran, you will see the expression on their face change. That phrase means something to them. As far as other veterans, if you really want to thank them for their service, you got to just find a way to make it sincere, because it's really becoming glib. As I mentioned before, it's just kind of becoming a cliche. When somebody says thank you for your service for me, and they're saying it so fast, they're not making eye contact and they're walking away. As a disabled vet, I just like to say, well, they probably meant well, but it might not be coming across that way. And given on the same note, if you have a friend who served and they call you, you always take the call. Even if they were an asshole to you yesterday, you take the call, because 22 a day is the current CDC number. 22 veterans a day take their own lives. And we never know which phone call is the phone call that they're making because they intend it to be their last one. And you don't have to say anything to somebody who's thinking about taking their own life. Wait a minute. That's all it takes. That's all you got to say. Wait a minute. Let me, I heard an Ole and Lena joke. Ole and Lena jokes are very popular in Minnesota. I don't know how popular they are out on the West Coast, but just wait a minute. Let me tell you this joke I heard. You don't have to get deep. You don't have to be a licensed therapist. You just have to take the call. even if they're an asshole to you yesterday. And if they're still an asshole to you, well, you know what? You get to say, you're still being an asshole, so I don't want to talk to you right now. But if they're getting close to that edge, that's all it takes to bring them back. It only takes a minute.
Awesome.
So thanks for letting me jump up on my soapbox and spill those little tidbits.
Absolutely. Glad you did. And all right, take care, Anthony. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on the show again.
You bet.
Rubber side down.
You got it. You got it. There you go, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that interview. Anthony Price, the Gold Star Ride Foundation. You heard, if you're interested in that, on some different ways that you can support that foundation, of course, go to your website. They're doing some great things. Go to your website. Go to their website, and you can donate over there. And, of course, as he mentioned, you can, if you want to join him in his travels, you can do that. And then, of course, the events coming up each year. Anyways, all the information is over there. And we want to thank Anthony. It's his second time coming on the show. And we don't mind catching up with Anthony and great causes like that. We like to get him on here. As you all know, we do heavily support our military, veterans, current military, everything in between right here at Law Abiding Biker Media. We thank you all for your service. Seriously. I always add a seriously on that. You know what I mean? Like shake their hand. So yeah, good reminders, guys. Good reminders. Now we thank our patron members. We want you to become a patron member because we want to get to know you better. We want to get some benefits your way. We want you in the private Facebook group, all that kind of stuff. But hey, for whatever reason you can't commit to becoming a member, then we never balk at a flat donation. And we want to thank the following people.
Alan Thompson, he gave a substantial donation. Thank you, Alan. Also, William Cohn of Spartanburg, South Carolina, he also gave a substantial donation. And Robert Taylor of Portage, Indiana. Thank you all.
There you go, guys. And call to action real quick. Speaking of him being broke down and servicing your bike and stuff, don't forget, guys, in the Law Abiding Biker store, we're still building it out. We'll continue to build it out. Lurch is on board now full-time as Chief Operations Officer, so we're still bringing a ton of stuff to the store, so always check back. And we do have a bunch of different, we've got AMSOIL, of course, is what I use, and the Twin Power kits, a whole bunch of different service kits with oil and filter, not just AMSOIL, but other stuff too, all over into the Law Abiding Biker store, and we can get it shipped out to you. And there's some, you've probably seen those alerts, some nice one, where you buy the kit with the exact amount of oil basically you need, and the filter, oil filter, all that kind of stuff. And by buying from us, guys, of course you can get that stuff a lot of places, but by buying it from us, you're supporting us and our efforts. Like this morning, sitting here on a Monday morning, cranking out 2 back-to-back episodes, 2 interviews for you guys, trying to keep the content pumping your way. We literally couldn't do it, of course, without patron member support, sponsors, without you guys shopping our store. And it's not just the podcast, it's the videos we're putting out like crazy. We're going to continue bringing the content, you guys. And that, obviously all that comes at great cost and all the gear in front of us here to do all this stuff. So we thank you for shopping in our store and considering getting your oils, service, and products right over there in the Law Abiding Biker store. I know Big Daddy Kane, store operations manager, loves it too. Extraordinaire. They'll get it down there and get it boxed up in a box of peanuts for you. That'll spill all over when you get your box, but it comes with some love. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're out.